your girl, Renee the Realtor, and I'm so happy today to have Nitya here with us today. She's actually a yoga instructor and also an author of children's books, and I think that is so amazing. I have a little niece, and I love getting her new children's books. I'll definitely be getting her this one for the holidays. I've already checked it out. So I'll just let you introduce yourself and tell the people what you're all about.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Renee. Thanks for the opportunity. It's really nice to have this platform to share more about my story. My name is Nitya Malik. I am originally from India, lived in Minnesota for a good 16, 17 years, and have recently, well, I say recently, but it's been since the start of the pandemic, relocated to New Jersey with my husband. I
Okay.
work, yeah, my day job, full-time job is actually in the corporate world. I work for a medical device company. And
Oh,
then,
wow.
yeah, and then this is kind of my side, I would say creative outlet, passion project,
Hmm.
call it what you want, but just a few things that have going on that really kind of round me out, I would say.
Okay. I think that's important though, because everybody has their job and then we all have so many things that we like to do, so many talents, so many things that keep us going. And it's important to be able to make time for those things as well.
Yeah.
So you did tell us a little here, you're from Minnesota, you said. Okay. And you're a yoga instructor. So just give us a little information about how you got started doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, Even though I'm from India, I'll break a stereotype here. I didn't grow up doing yoga. It was very very new to me. So when I
Okay.
was living in Minnesota, I had some friends who asked me to try out a couple of classes, and
Mm-hmm.
I would say two or three classes in, I was just really drawn to how different yoga was from any other, I would say, fitness outlet that I had been a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And it still allowed me to get like a good physical workout in, but also just the mental aspect of
Right.
well-being and, tuning into yourself and having some meditative space was just so validating and so needed at the time in my life when I was going through just so much work-wise and work
Right.
stress. So it came at a good time to me. And I would say a few classes in, I decided that I wanted to be a yoga instructor. I was just in awe of, the instructors that I'd taken classes from and the way they made me feel at ease in the moment, and, to hold space for somebody to really let go of the stress that they're facing in that day. I just thought was the greatest gift I could give to humankind if I could
Right.
like share that space with somebody and make somebody's day a little bit better.
I really love a lot of the things that you said here. So you kind of really just jumped right in. You took a few classes and you're like, you know what, this is for me. I want to teach it.
Yeah, yeah. Most
That's
people
amazing.
do yoga for a while and then kind of go on the teacher training path. And I thought, what better way to become a teacher by becoming a student, right? And kind of just
Right.
looking at that process as though if I were to teach a newcomer, how would I approach yoga? So I was really looking at it from that lens. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the kind of yoga I like to teach. It's more beginner style. It's for the
Okay.
newcomers. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's helping them feel comfortable. Many are intimidated, right, by the space and walking into a studio and feeling
Right.
like they should be able to touch their toes to meet the checklist, right, of being a yoga
Mm-hmm.
student. But that's so far from truth.
Right. I've actually recently took up some yoga classes myself, so I'm
You
in the
did?
beginner space as well. But
Yeah,
it's done
awesome.
a lot for me. It forces me to slow down, which is good because I do a lot of go, go, go in my everyday. And a lot of things you said by setting an intention for my practice and is really, really calmed me. And I'm anxious to, kind of continue and do more and learn more. So I definitely agree with a lot of the things that you said there about yoga.
I'm so happy to hear that. That's great. Thanks
Mhm.
for sharing.
So your love for yoga has somehow translated into your children's author. I saw the book was about yoga as well as, holidays and things. So you've been able to kind of try to tie that together.
Yeah, that's been a kind of a fun synergy, right? Like finding passion areas that I'm passionate about, which is fitness and wellness, but also I do enjoy the creative outlet of writing
Mm-hmm.
and kind of the arts spaces. So I crafted this story a few years ago and just kind of put it in a drawer and didn't think much about it. And it wasn't until kind of the slowness of the pandemic when we were all kind of stuck at home and we had extra time with not a whole lot to do that I
Mm-hmm.
thought this would be the perfect time to dust off that manuscript and really see if I could do something with it. I had also taken a break from teaching, just having relocated to New Jersey. And again, we were in
Okay.
COVID. Yeah. So it was like the perfect, stars aligned. And I thought this was the time for me to do it. So I launched my first book last year,
Mm-hmm.
had a great response, lots of kind of great feedback, good reviews on Amazon and other places. And I thought, we've got something here and we have to keep it
Yeah,
going. So
that's
that
great.
inspired, yeah, the second book called Milton's Very Merry Christmas, which I just
Mm-hmm.
launched a couple weeks in time for the holidays.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen like even my niece, she goes to a daycare and they kind of have time for like little meditation and like kids
Yes.
yoga. So I think that's big and I think you're really onto something there because it's important maybe to start them young. I know that yoga is something that you found later on in life.
Yeah.
How do you think that can or has it influenced kids for you? Like, do you teach kids as well? Is it just older? Like, is there an age group that you taught?
Yeah, great questions. And the first point about your niece, right? That's exactly what drew me into this. I have two nieces and a nephew, or at the time
Mm-hmm.
I had two nieces and a nephew. I have a lot more now, but I used to enjoy, doing yoga with them because they would learn it in their daycares, exactly what you're sharing. And we
Yeah,
would we would come and do it at home, or I'd go to their house and they'd like show me, butterfly pose. So we'll do butterfly pose together. And I thought, what a great way to instill these principles early, get kids kind of in that mindset at the right time. But I also
right,
think it's such a good break for parents, particularly mothers, right, who are struggling to make time out for themselves, and it's hard for them to do fitness while also being a full-time mom, often juggling multiple responsibilities. So I thought
right,
if we are doing, story time together, or the mom and the child are kind of reading a book together, and it's got all of these yoga poses, like that's a fun way to just get up off the couch, do a pose together, and maybe that
yes.
turns into a little yoga session, or you decide to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was
Mm-hmm.
just as much for the kids as it is, I think, for the parents who are really
Agreed.
thirsting for these kinds of, breaks in their day, and
Mm-hmm.
finding
Mm-hmm.
opportunities to really just do something for themselves.
Right, right. That's so great. And then she's actually more into it than I thought she would be because I know kids are all over the place, but it kind of forces her to calm down and work on her breathing. And I think it has helped her in a lot of areas. So this is amazing. I love everything about this.
I'm so happy to hear that. I feel like I want
Yeah.
to meet your niece now. I like to
Yes.
give little kids high
Maybe you could
fives,
teach her something, right?
or she'll teach me something.
Well,
That's also
yeah, she
really
might. You
fun.
never know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
talk about, I know you said during the pandemic, there were some challenges you had. Teaching had stopped a bit. Are there any other things that you've had in terms of challenges as an author, challenges as a teacher, and what you've kind of done so far to try to overcome those challenges?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think in general, right, like COVID was just so hard hitting for so many people in so many
Mm,
ways. And sometimes when I stop to think about it, it's hard to believe that we all lived through that. And, we're still living through some remnants of
right.
it. So I don't want to say that it's completely behind us.
Mm-hmm.
But gosh, those were like tough months, right? Think back to what you were doing in April, May of 2020, June, July, and it just went on and on and on. I
Right.
would say not having a yoga community was hard because I was so used to
Mm,
that in Minneapolis, and finding a space to go to for my practice, or being able to easily transition, back to home, and do some yoga at home, because I had, gotten into the habit of doing it more regularly at the studios that I practiced, or the studios that I taught. That became hard to do in the pandemic, when you didn't have a studio to go to, when you didn't have a community that you really kind of leaned on for kind of
Right.
comfort or being in this together. But I guess the opportunity for that for me was really focusing in on an in-home practice. Like that became where I really grew in my space,
Hmm.
in my physical body, in my mental space, and carving out that time in the day to be like, okay, that's 20 minutes on the mat, or sometimes it's an hour-long practice, but you just have to be mindful and kind of intentional about dedicating that time for yourself.
Right, right. That's very true. I do know I did miss going to things like gyms and my group practices that I did during the pandemic. Some people did do the like the virtual classes and stuff like that
Yeah.
that I enjoyed, that I was still, even like some virtual yoga practices I did, and I
Yes.
did find that kind of helped calm me down a lot during the pandemic because I had
Yeah.
a lot of free time.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are great. I definitely encourage any opportunities you get for like a virtual yoga class, because that's better than nothing. I do
Mm-hmm,
miss
mm-hmm.
the in-person practice,
Oh
right?
yeah, that energy I think that's
Yes.
created between you and your teacher and whoever else is in the
Yes.
class. It's definitely a group practice thing that I enjoy. I found I enjoyed as a group because we go through a lot of the same struggles.
Yeah.
We all sometimes may be stressed out, and to be able to come and share those things with those in your class and to kind of just be able to release, through your practice, those things. It's definitely great to have a group when you do that type of stuff for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So even though virtual is nice, there's something that just must be done in person.
Well, and I'm somebody who loves with when I teach a class and with permission from my students, I offer hands-on adjustments. So I'm very like involved
Mm,
in their experience of yoga. And when I moved from Minneapolis to New Jersey, I had a couple of students ask if I would lead a virtual class for them. And it was hard to say no, but it felt like the right decision for me. I guess I
right,
don't know how to adapt my hands-on
right.
practice to a
Mm-hmm.
virtual
Because
setting. And I
it's
would
not the
really,
same for you.
it's not
Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
same. Yeah. And I get just as much out of teaching as I think my students, or I hope my students do or
Yeah.
did. So
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I couldn't do justice to my class if I wasn't there physically in
Right.
person experiencing or kind of understanding how they're feeling a certain pose in their body and how can I help them, right, have a better experience with it. So it's very
Mm-hmm.
like interactive, right, experience, because you're
It's
watching
true.
them go through it and you're seeing where the areas of tension are and where you can offer some
Right.
assistance, which is hard
That's
to do
true.
virtually. Yeah.
I agree with that because there's so many different poses and everybody's at a
Mhm.
different level. So my downward dog might not look like the other person's downward dog,
Yeah,
but doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just that's
correct.
my level, and everybody has a point, where is their breaking point, and I know you shouldn't go past that. I know there's a word for that, but I can't remember it now. But
Yeah,
there's a
no, you're
word for
right.
what your threshold is in yoga,
Yes.
and that you shouldn't go past that.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's you it's and your pose might look different today than it does tomorrow, right? Like,
Right,
so just
right.
understanding where your energy levels at and
Mm-hmm.
what's serving you today, because it may not serve you the same tomorrow.
That's true. And having patience and acceptance for where
Yes,
you are in that moment is very important.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go next question for you. What drives you and like what motivates you to continue to do your yoga or your children's books?
Yeah. It's really the feedback I've been getting from folks who have been kind enough to purchase the book and share that story with their kids, their nieces and nephews, and the
Mm-hmm.
pictures are just rolling in and the feedback's rolling in. So that keeps me going.
Good.
I'll also say that with the first book, I chose to donate half of all proceeds to a nonprofit organization,
Wow.
which I, again, back to COVID and, seeing so much that was being impacted, with particularly nonprofits who weren't able to access their funding sources, or people weren't out there raising funds. And I thought, this is one way for me to give back. So I partnered with Gilda's Club, which is a cancer organization,
Mm-hmm.
to give proceeds back to them. And I know it meant a lot to them to have somebody who will
Yeah.
continue to fundraise on their behalf, which is basically what
Mm-hmm.
I would do in terms of promoting the book, because 50% of all proceeds went to them.
Right.
And then, yeah, I just wanted to carry that legacy with the second book too. So for Milton's Very Merry Christmas. I've partnered with Pinky Swear Foundation, which is
Okay.
a dear, dear organization. If you haven't heard about it, or if your viewers haven't heard about it, I highly encourage. It's a children's cancer charity where they really support
Oh.
the
Mm-hmm.
whole family. If they're going through financial troubles or need access to care and treatment, they, no questions asked, will
Right.
help the family with that.
Okay, that's great. I love that you've been able to even take it a step further with your service to kids and then the
Yeah.
foundation. That's really amazing that you would do that. So
Oh,
that's very
thank you.
commendable.
It's a small way to give back to the community,
Right,
but
right. And it must
I
be very
believe it.
rewarding.
Thank you.
And what is something that you feel that most people don't know about being an author? Like, what do you think that? Because I
Yeah.
know, I mean, it's not just writing the book. I'm sure there's a lot behind the scenes that we don't see
It's
or
a
hear.
it's a lot of, yeah, and I think I fully hadn't I didn't know what I'd signed myself up for when I started this journey. I would say the writing was the easiest part because I had
Right.
the story written like years ago. Now, granted, I made edits and tweaked it, but I chose to go the self-publishing route versus,
Okay.
finding a publisher. So that's, one area of distinction. If you go with a publisher, a lot of kind of the background work, the infrastructure is set up for you, right? You just work with their team, they help promote the book, they'll have their decision on pricing, they've done the market research. All of that is on you when you're self-publishing.
Mhm.
But it was fun for me. Like I have a business background, I have a marketing background, so it was really fun to excuse me,
Okay.
take what I do at work, yeah, and apply it to
And apply it
uh
to your own business, to your own
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
my own
Wow.
thing. So
Okay.
that was fun, but it's a lot of self-learning, right? There isn't a place you go to where that has all the answers. You're basically attending webinars and lots of just resources online about self-publishing and talking to people. I joined a couple online communities to like ask the questions and stumbling
Right.
blocks that I was facing. And in return, right, people who are at different points in their journey, I was able to offer some help along the way to them
Right.
as well. So over time, I kind of developed some relationships with budding authors who are
Okay.
who are in the space too, which has been fun.
Yeah, that must be really nice. So I guess any venture it makes you really become an entrepreneur. You really have to think about all these things that go behind promoting something that you create,
Yeah.
having a a business, self-employed, and there's a lot of things that we do behind the scenes that people don't see. They might see the
Yes.
interview, they might see a marketing ad or something on social media, but they don't realize all the hours of work and all the research and stuff that actually go behind something like this.
Absolutely. There's, yeah.
Yeah, they
And
just
that's
see.
what you want it to be. Like you don't want everybody to see, under the iceberg under the water, right? Because
Right.
if they can just see the tip of the iceberg, you've done a great job because you've only
Exactly.
let them see what you want them to
What
see.
you want them to see. You make it look effortless, right?
Yeah, make it, you're like frantically like paddling underwater, but you're just calm as can
Mm-hmm.
be on top.
Exactly. So I know you mentioned you just moved to Ewing. Is there anything that you love most about the neighborhood already? Is there anything that kind of stands out here for you?
Oh yeah. I'll say the garden, the nursery around the corner, and now I'm like blanking out. Is it botanical garden?
Yeah.
Wow, bountiful gardens. Sorry,
Bountiful, yes.
bountiful
Uh-huh.
gardens. That was one of the first kind of business stops I made
Okay.
after we bought a house in Ewing and just was getting into gardening projects and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
their team is really good. I've been really happy with that experience. But yeah, there's a lot of great restaurants around here that we're starting to explore,
Yeah, okay.
um, and getting to know people, which has been fun. We know our neighbors now, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm looking forward to more opportunities to connect with the community. So thank you for what you're doing in this podcast and interview because I know you're
Yeah.
trying to bring community and kind of like-minded
Us more
folks
together.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
yeah.
So thank you actually for being here. I didn't expect to get so many responses when I posted in the Ewing
Yeah.
Township website. So that was a blessing for me. I've been able to meet so many different types of people and expanding my network as well. So
Oh,
yes,
that's awesome.
it takes
Yeah.
more than just me. So yes, so happy that everybody has responded so far and actually following through with our interviews. So that's been really
Yes.
great for me, really rewarding.
No, thank you for the
Yes.
opportunity.
So what can we say the future holds for you?
Yeah, I'd like to potentially get back to teaching. I've been so busy with my day job.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe and if and when things kind of calm down a little bit, I'd like to like maybe once a week or on a weekend, like teach a class. That would be just fun to get to meet more people in the
Right.
community too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and definitely book number 3 in the works for next year. So I'm kind of starting to think along those lines already.
Okay.
Milton has his adventures, so we're
Yes.
gonna
I
we're
love
gonna
that it's a series.
it's a series, yeah. Yeah, that was another fun decision to like come out with the series name with the first book, right? Like not knowing
Mm-hmm.
if there's going to be a second or not, but sometimes you got to make big bets like that with the
Exactly.
payoff in the future. So I'm really glad we have 2 books now in the series and hopefully a third one coming soon.
Right, great, because it gives like some people to like something to look forward to. Like, what's Milton's next adventure?
Yeah, folks have
Especially for
asked me.
kids. I think kids like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
They do. I've even like on Instagram, like crowdsourced ideas, and folks have
Mm-hmm.
like sent in, here's where I think Milton should go next. Or what about if we put Milton in like daycare and he can teach the kids? Really
Okay.
fun
So that kind of
ideas.
makes it more interactive,
Yeah.
like with all the people who are actually reading your book. They're giving you some
Yes.
ideas. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So yes, I'm hoping a third book is coming out shortly.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely be looking out for those books.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you
get
so
them for my
much.
niece for sure, so
Oh,
we could
that's very
practice some
kind.
more of our yoga.
Thank you. And thank you for supporting Pinky Swear
Mhm.
Foundation too. I'm just, your purchase of the book is going towards their cause as well. So I appreciate
Right.
that.
And that's big. Well, thank you so much again for being here with me today.
Yeah.
Can you tell the people where they can find you, where they can find your book?
Yeah, thank you. So my book is on Amazon and you can search for Milton's Very Merry Christmas and you'll find it there. The second book in the series is Milton, or the first book in the series, Milton Finds His Way Home, is also on Amazon. So both of those are listed there. And then on Instagram, you can find me on milton.yoga series. So that's my
Okay.
handle on Facebook and Instagram, but Instagram is where I'm kind of more active.
Effective. Okay, yes. Well, thank you. I'll definitely be checking out those. I will post to both
Awesome.
Facebook and Instagram as well and get all of this out there for you to whoever I can.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much,
No
Renee. Lovely
problem.
chatting with you and
Yes,
good luck
lovely
with your
chatting with you
venture.
as well. And thank you again, guys. Please go visit Nitya at where on her Amazon. Please go purchase her book. Support the foundations on Instagram and Facebook as well. She's available. You can always find me, Renee Stewart, on Facebook, on my Instagram _Renee.Stewart _. Please visit our Park Bench website, www.parkbench.com/west/Trenton. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks again for tuning in.